This video series is part of a larger initiative from Create to Learn, a partnership between Taking It Global and Imaginative. So follow Create to Learn's Instagram or the hashtag Create to Learn on social media to find more series that teach youth digital skills. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to go and apply the materials, adding textures, setting up the HDRI environment. So for the first thing here, we're going to go back here to solid. I'm just going to right click this and shade smooth. And then I'm going to click the water plane here, and then you hit tab, or you can click object up here and go to edit mode. Tab's just quicker. And then right click, subdivide, and then the number of cuts here, we're going to change that to 100. And then for the fractal, we're just going to increase that a bit, and it's just going to make it look a little bit more like water. So that's all good. Tab to exit out of that, right click, shade smooth, and then you can bring it up if you want to add a little more water. And then we're going to add the materials next. So we'll go ahead with water first. So we're going to go down here to context material, and then you're going to hit new, and then we're going to scroll down here to transmission and bring that all the way up. You can just drag and slide, or else you can just type it in. And then we're going to bring the roughness down a bit. And so if I go to Z rendered, you can see it's water here, but it's not going to show anything yet because we don't have our HDRI environment put in. So back to solid, and then we're going to go to the sand here. So again, new, and then base color, something that kind of resembles sand. You can drag this to make it a bit darker. And then we're just going to add some texture to it to make it look a little more like slightly realistic. So in order to do that, make sure you have it selected. And then at the top here, we're going to go from layout to shading. So you should have two windows like this. If not, you just drag up from the bottom corner here to bring up the second window. And then you're going to want to go to view, camera, active camera, and then look. Yeah, we're just going to leave it in look dev for now. And then we're going to add our materials down here. So you can just scroll in and out and then click the middle mouse, like just press it down and you can drag it and move it around. So in order to add that, we're going to click Shift A, search, bump, select that. I'm going to drop that down here. And then you're going to add the normal to the normal. So this was that add-on that we typed in earlier, Node Wrangler. It just makes this workflow easier. And then Shift A, search, and then we are going to type in noise texture. And then drop that there, and then we're going to drop the color into the height. So if you just zoom in, drag it down a bit, we are going to adjust the scale here, 1.1, and then the detail, we're going to bump that up to 16, and then the distortion, 5.6. There we go. It actually looks a little bit more like sand. And there we have our material set up. So I'm just going to go back to the layout, and then Z, look dev. So it looks a little bit shiny still right now. So maybe I need to adjust something down here. Turn the roughness up a bit, and then turn the specular down. That should make it a little bit better. And then lastly, we're going to add, we might have to adjust this later, but we'll worry about that later on. So now we're going to do the sun. So the sun's a little bit different than the last two materials that we added. So make sure you have the sun selected, new, and then under surface here, we're actually going to change that to emission. And then you can change the strength anywhere between 15 and 20, whatever you like. Maybe I'll go with 15 right now. And then the color, we're going to make it a little bit more of an orange to resemble, you know, the sunset. Oh, that looks a bit better. Maybe I can move it back a bit and then down. Okay. So there, we have all of our textures, materials added. So now we're going to go ahead and add in our HDRI environment. So we're going to go over to Google and then type in hdrihaven.com. And I already downloaded one, so I'll just go to the home, HDRIs, skies, and then try to pick one that kind of resembles either a sunrise or a sunset. So I have this one downloaded. I have this Venice one here. I think this is the one that I'm going to use. Yeah, so you just click it and then scroll down to download, and you can pick any one of those. I usually just choose 4K because I don't know, that's why I just select it. So now we're going to go back into Blender after you have that downloaded, and then we're going to go to our context world. So under color here, we're going to select that wheel, or the circle, sorry, and then change it to environment texture. And then you're going to hit open and then navigate to your downloads. And it's going to look like this. It'll say .hdr. We're going to open image. And then it should add it in here. So if we go to Z rendered. All right, see, we have our HDRI added in. All right, so we're going to go from our layout back to the shading tab here, and then make sure you're in the view, camera, active camera, and then have it on the rendered. And then down on this part, we're going to change it from object to world. So this is showing the properties for our HDRI environment here. And you can just click on them to drag them and move them around. And then zoom in and out with the scroll wheel. And then if you click down on the scroll wheel, you can drag it around. So we're going to Shift A, search, and they're going to type in mapping. And then you're going to drag and drop that there, and then drop the vector into the vector. And then Shift A, search, and then texture coordinate. And then we're going to drag the generated from the texture onto the vector on the mapping. And then we can adjust the rotation, see? And then I'm going to position with the sun somewhere behind my scene like so. Because I want the water to look like it's reflecting the sunlight. So you can see it's right back here. If I drag the Z this way, I'm going to position it right behind. You can also adjust the X too, because I want it just hitting the water. All right, so we have our HDR set up, and that's all we have for this portion here.